We relate to perfume perfectly. Imagination stirs the senses, and when a love of something or someone is the inspiration behind the drive to create a fragrance, the story of this passion intrigues us, captures our heart, ensnares it, echoes our moods and emotions, and, according to leading perfumers, makes us feel closer to either the creator or the muse. This may inspire us in some way, sparking us to buy a fragrance, and ultimately, to wear it. Quintessentially Perfume. Hey Fragrance Family, I'm David and I'm a fragrance bro. Welcome to another episode of David's Bookshelf. I have another book review. Today it is on Quintessentially Perfume by Natalie Granger. And this is interesting because Natalie Granger was one of the primary writers of this book, but she also compiled a host of other writers that were in the book as well. Two of the most notable writers that were in this book were Raja Dove and Chandler Burr. Now I don't really know that much about Natalie Granger. But I actually wrote this because I have a Goodreads account and I go on there and I read a lot and then I'll post a review, and she actually saw my review and contacted me, and we kind of had this really friendly discourse back and forth about the book and things like that. She was very kind. She talked a lot about how it was made and stuff like that, and all the people that she got. This book is kind of a book that is good for beginners. And if you are someone who is just beginning into perfume, then I would recommend this to you because this has a lot of good material in here. And it has a lot of good articles. The most notable articles in here, I think, the best ones are Raja Dove and Chandler Burr. Raja Dove clearly has the superior articles in here. I think he has a lot of great things to say. Some of the things that he said about the history of fragrances and perfumes were incredible. They're things that I've never heard before, and I thought that was really, really fascinating and interesting. And he had a lot of passionate things to say about perfume, and as a perfumer, I think that is really, really wonderful. Chandler Burr had a lot of great things to say as well. And of course, typical Chandler Burr, he has an incredible writing style, which is just very accessible and easy to read, so I really liked reading that. In a lot of ways, this is kind of an encyclopedia of knowledge. It has a glossary, it has a list of fragrances you can look up and houses you can look for. It has interviews with perfumers, but sometimes I kind of wonder why they chose what they chose. And then later I figured out why. They really have a thing with expensive perfumes in this, and I don't necessarily have a thing against it, but what they kind of advocate in here is kind of the cult of quality. What I mean by that is there's this connotation of people that talk about quality, that quality is better. And ultimately what they mean by that is the cost of the ingredient means that it's quality. So quality ultimately becomes equated with the cost of the perfume. What I don't like about that is that it becomes an exercise in flaunting wealth or going broke and making you appear like you're flaunting wealth and talking about quality of a fragrance when no one cares about quality of a fragrance. They just care about if it smells good or if it smells bad. And if you have a fragrance, you just want to smell good. And when compared that to like a $40 fragrance, you think to yourself, oh, I mean, it can't be quality, right? Because it's $40, it can't have that many quality ingredients. But in reality, the quality that everyone really wants is not the quality of the ingredient. It's the quality of the composition, and that is from the skill of the perfumer, not by the cost of jasmine or orris root or ambergris or whatever. So they have this thing with high dollar fragrances, and so they list a lot of these high dollar fragrances in there. Now I'm not a snob in any way, so I don't poo-poo that at all. And as far as Raja Dove is a perfumer, and his fragrances are very expensive. And as a perfumer, I understand the perspective that you want these really great ingredients. It's liberating to have a quality of ingredient that is pristine, that is perfect, that is the highest you can get. So I understand Raja Dove, especially, his perspective is someone that wants to use the best. But that's not necessarily the same goal in mind of a consumer, such as us who are reading this book. We want something that just smells great. It doesn't really matter how much it costs. And a couple other criticisms I have, that glossary that I mentioned, it's in the middle of the book. which is a really strange place because every book I've ever read has the glossary at the end of the book. That's where you put a glossary. But this one is right in the middle of the book, which is a really strange place for it. Another kind of criticism that I have about this book is there are other contributors to this book besides Natalie Granger, Roger Dove, and Chandler Burr. I don't remember their names because they don't have really distinct writing styles. They're not very memorable. And there are times when I thought that the writing was very purple. And what I mean by that is that it was almost pretentious in a way. Like they were self-aware that they were writing for a book, and not just any book, a book about luxury. And it kind of seemed a little disingenuous in sometimes. And other times it kind of read more like a blog on paper and not necessarily like a serious article for a book. So I kind of wish that they stuck with the three primary writers that I mentioned. If they would have done that and would have done more articles with each of them, I think it would have been a stronger book. Of course, they would have put the glossary at the end. That would have been nice too. Overall, I think this is a good book. I'm kind of torn on what rating to give this, but I'll just go ahead and bump it up to a 4. It was hovering around 3.5. I don't give half-star reviews, but if I did, it would be a 3.5. I think it's a good book for beginners who are just learning fundamental things about perfumery and the ideology, the philosophy, and the history. I think this is a great starting point for them. For most of us out there, I'm not exactly sure. You might want to see if a friend has this. Maybe they have it on the Kindle. Maybe you can get it at the library. Maybe you can check it out there and read it. Or maybe you can find it just for a really cheap price. It'd be worth a cheap price for sure. Ultimately, it's a good book. It just falls short of greatness, and maybe even falls short of really goodness. But it's a decent book, and I really enjoyed it. So what do you think of Quintessentially Perfume? Have you tried it? Let me know down in the comments down below. And of course, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe down below. I'll love you for it. I'll see you next time. I'm Dave with the Fragrance Bros. Bye.